this meeting to order. To establish a quorum, I'm going to introduce everybody at the conference table. Board member Ben Reed, Mr. Edrock, David Strozier, members, myself, Daniel Tejada, Sherry Castillo. Also joining us at the conference table is City Manager Henrietta Turner, our Director, Johnny Rodriguez, and our Attorney, Gladys Rodriguez. Will we please stand for the side of the stage? Oh, I'm sorry, can you do please invocation, please? I'm sorry. 6:30.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us, that you pray for leadership, that you give us the guidance and the love and the honor, and that we think of others before we think of ourselves. We ask this thing in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Sorry about that, I'm sorry.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You enjoyed my parade?
Fred Gonzalez has joined the conference table.
Yes, it is, Mr. Gonzalez, go right ahead.
Hot seat.
So we have the full board here, right?
Yes, we do.
Current board is 6 members. Any citizen comments? There be no citizens' comments, let's move on to old business, consideration and action to approve meeting minutes for January 22nd meeting. You should have your minutes in your packet. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, let's have a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Gonzalez, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Strozier. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
One abstain.
I wasn't
Castillo
here.
abstains. So let's move on to presentations and discussion. We have with us tonight Ms. Silvia Madero of the Floresville Lions Club to talk to us about the 6th annual car show. Ms. Madero?
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to be here. As you know, my name is Sylvia Madero, and I am president of the Lions. With me is Glenn Mabey, who is the originator and producer of the Floresville Lions Annual Car Show, who will speak on the car show, which is our main focus for being here today. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Lions. I don't know if you know, but the Lions have been in Floresville for over 70 years. It says, and we are an international organization with over 4 million members. Our motto is we serve, and when we tell you about our fundraisers that every penny goes back to the community, it does. And here are just a few of the things that we do. The Floresville Lions sponsor a camp in Kerrville. It is a residential camping facility for children with physical disabilities. Children from the ages of 8 to 16 who are physically disabled, hearing and vision impaired, diabetic children, Down syndrome, and multiple other disabilities enjoy 1 week without charge fun. All the equipment is made for those for the mentally challenged, and they are able to enjoy everything. And they have one counselor 24/7. The blind sight research is in partnership with the University of Texas Health Sciences. We collect used eyeglasses that are recycled to the people in those countries who do not have them, and they are distributed by the Lions in those countries. The Lions provide guide dogs for the blind. We support the Kids Sight program. that works with daycares and preschoolers to conduct free vision screening for children as young as 6 months and up to 5 years of age and more. We are now trying to go into the elementary schools. But in fact, at the end of 2018, the Floresville Lions were ahead of all those other Lions clubs in District 2A2 with the most screened children. We screened over 300 children here in Floresville, and 100 of those needed to be referred to specialists. We also assist the elderly who are not able to afford, and those children who do not have the means to have exams and glasses. And in 2018, we expended close to $3,500 for these exams and glasses. The Floresville Lions for the past 3 decades have awarded sponsors to our youth, those students located within the Floresville Independent School District. These amounts vary on how much we make at our fundraisers. The scholarships are based on essays and how well they follow the rules to those essays. We also try to base these scholarships on need and positive attitudes towards higher education. Every year, we award scholarships ranging from $3,000 to $5,000, again, depending on our revenue. The Lions support the Leo Club, which is sponsored by Lions International. Leo stands for Leadership, Experience, and Opportunity. They encourage the youth to develop leadership qualities, participating in social services activities. And in partnership with the local churches, we contribute yearly and monthly to the Floresville Food Pantry and Resource Center. This past December, we partnered with the Edward Jones on 3rd Street. We entered the Best Window Contest for Christmas, and we took advantage of the time and opportunity and sponsored a food drive, a jacket and blanket drive. In the 2 weeks that we had, we collected over 55 blankets, jackets, over 40 blankets, and 20 bags of food, in addition to what we give the food pantry every year. We also contribute to those in need in disasters, such as Sutherland Springs, victims of Harvey. And in fact, when Harvey occurred, the Floresville Rehab Center received all the residents from Victoria, and they asked for clothing and toiletries because they literally came here with their shirts on their back. And we were able to acquire 6 big boxes of clothing and $200 worth of toiletries. So everything we do, we try to serve the community. And Lynn will now tell you about our car show.
My name is Glenn May. I come up with the idea to start the car show 6 years ago now, and with the help of Ben Reed, he was the president at the time, we kicked it off. Everybody told us at that time that a car show wouldn't last more than 3 years in Floresville, never has, never will, ain't gonna work. Well, we went at it with a little bit different approach. One, the monies that we get for the car show via sponsorships, the entry fees, stuff like this, all go back into the community. Last year we raised over $4,000 profit from the car show. That sounds like a lot of money. But when you listen to what Ms. Sylvia just said that we spend out in the community, that's not a whole lot. But then when you look at the backside of it, we also spent almost $4,000 to promote the car show. So essentially we made almost $8,000 that we could have given back to the community. What we're asking here is for a FEDC board to give us a little bit of money to help us promote the car show. We can promote the car show. There's a couple, 3 or 4 different ways that we can use this money. One is to go farther out from just the surrounding community and get people to come in from Corpus Christi, Del Rio, Austin, Houston. Try to get the people to come in to find out what's going on, what we have in little bitty Floresville. Because if you don't bring them down here to show them what we've got, they never know. That's another reason why 3 years ago we moved the car show downtown. If we don't do something downtown, we're going to lose downtown. So the more that you can do downtown, the more that you can promote downtown, the more you save downtown. the better off the community is and the Chamber of Commerce members and stuff like that. The restaurants during the car show, they're packed. They stay packed. Because why? You can park your $50,000 show car over here and walk across the street and get something to eat. You don't need to leave when the car show, the award show and everything is over. You can go down the street and get something to eat. That's what I think trying to help out the community is all about. But if we can't get people from farther out to come in and stay in our hotels, stay in the community overnight, see what the community has to offer, we're doing a great injustice. So that's why we're asking you, if you could, find it in your heart. I'm not gonna put a dollar amount on it. I'd like $2,000. $2,000 would be awesome. I'd like $4,000. But please find it in your heart to be able to give back to us, because then we can do things like, if the vendors didn't have to pay so much, we could most likely get more vendors in. If the people bringing their cars, which is the basis of the whole show, don't have to pay, we would get more cars coming in. And what happens at a car show is you get the car enthusiasts to come down to see the cars, and who are they dragging along with them? Their spouse. If there's nothing there for the spouse to do, they don't stay downtown, they don't spend money, they don't do anything. But if you can make it a whole family affair, and that's the reason why we don't sell alcohol at it. Part of this money goes to scholarships. So the Lions made the conscious decision that says, if we're going to get money by promoting cars and activities and family events and stuff, to give back to the kids, then how can we sit there and say don't drink and don't drive? So that's why we made the conscious decision. You know what? We can make a lot of money off alcohol. I'd get a lot of alcohol sponsorship. But we're trying to send that positive message of don't drink and drive. So if you could please find it in your heart to throw us a little bit of money our way to help develop the Floresville area, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is Floresville Chamber of Commerce Christmas Tree Expense Update. President of the Chamber, Ashley Lehman.
Elaine's here with me. She's our treasurer secretary. She's been on the board longer than I have. In fact, I wasn't even on the board yet when we got this money, and so she can give us more background on it.
We're trying to understand what the situation is. You know, past members here on this side that helped and started it. We've had past members on our side. So we're trying to get ourselves caught up to date and up to speed, and also what y'all are requesting and what we're having to do. I mean, we know that the expenses and all had been sent over here to explain the $30,000, how it was wrote down and what was spent. And there, we know there is a balance remaining, but we were still going to purchase some more ornaments to go onto that tree with that remaining balance. So that's,
Okay, let's just wait for John to
Right.
get back, but from what my understanding, and I think most of the board that sits here today was part of the process of doing the Christmas show. I think we agreed to spend a certain dollar amount and take ownership of whatever we purchased, but it was going to be the chamber was going to help us put the event together. I think that's what was going to happen, right?
Yeah, I just don't, I was kind of, we were in a transition phase, so we had made the motion to spend up to $30,000, and I didn't know how that money was transferred. I know Henrietta was the interim at that time, so I think we, did we give the money to them directly and they spent it, or did they
Yes.
turn in receipts to us? And then, that's where the confusion is. I think when we gave it to them directly, from my understanding, that the past members may have thought it was the chamber's money, but it was the understanding that we were doing it as a community event at Fedc, and they were just, I thought they were gonna turn in receipts or do it, and then we were gonna do, I just didn't understand it, so.
We did do the $30,000 check that they voted on. I believe that was sometime in July that we voted on that. And the chairman at the time came, I believe, to more than one of your meetings to explain what the $30,000, then pay the tree and those kind of things and costs incurred. And then we had the event for them to do that. We worked with the chamber and Wisconsin News and there's also an expense, and I think, I don't have her report, the chamber report, but there's also was an expense in reference to the tree and Phelps, because electricity for the tree, and the city partnered with that, and the chairperson, Donna, actually led that, and I met myself and the mayor to pay, the city paid a portion, the county paid a portion, and EDC paid a portion for the tree, electrical. And then there was a shed, and the shed is located at the city yard, along with the tree itself is inside, along with the decorations to store it. Because they just needed a place to put the shed, and the shed is there. I mean, the shed's there, and the tree's there. But I can't speak to the dollar amounts because she submitted those reports here, and I know I gave all those reports to.
I know there was some questions, like, I knew there was maybe an administrative fee that was done at the last minute of $2,500. And I thought, as some of them, they were volunteers, so if they did do a fee, I think Johnny has it on there that maybe, do we 1099 them, who 1099 them? It was supposed to be just for decorations only, and then there's some different fees as far as like the advertising and administrative fees.
So, John, do you want to speak to that?
So if you want to take it over from there. We're just bringing up the par on some of the questions about the allocation of the 30,000. I know it's kind of before you came. And, just trying to get some clarification on how it's both spent.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's the thing that we've got to be clarified on too, because as the chamber, I have to file their tax return for
Yes.
nonprofit. So the funds went into our account, so I'm gonna have to show that on our account
Yes.
and those receipts and bills, balancing it all. And as far as admin and costs like that, the map that was done for FEDC, the chamber and Donna, as the chairman, did a lot of extensive work free of charge. And so this was kind of, we thought it was a gratuity towards what we had done as a chamber and of all the time that she had spent to help us with the chamber and the tree and the event that we have normally. So as a matter of ownership, we have our board meeting tomorrow morning. So this is gonna be our first official board meeting with the changes. We've had a special call meeting to handle banking situation that we had to get taken care of so we could pay bills. But we're going to be having to make a decision on our stuff too, to figure out, you know, yes, okay, if we agree, tree is y'all's property, the building's y'all's property, and we give you the keys to that building.
Well, it wasn't so much that, we're gonna work together, because like, we want to make this a bigger and better event, like, we want to get like
Exactly.
more lights in the community, some more things.
Exactly.
But that would be a question, if we donate that money for things, that's the question for the attorney, like, it may be on your books okay to pay administrative fees, because y'all have some fees that y'all pay out from the city when they give you money from other stuff, but on our end, we can't, if it's for merchandise, it can't go to advertising, because we made a motion for that to go to specific materials, so I don't know, I'm gonna let the attorney take it over from there as far as advertising.
The advertising was the advertising for the Christmas decorating contest. They took out
Oh, yeah.
ads for the Christmas.
Okay, I know that was $1,000 to pay the winner, I thought.
No, you had to put it in the paper to say we're having a contest.
Okay, but it's part of the $30,000 right here, Henry.
Yes.
The way they turned it in as part of that, and so if it doesn't line up to what our core beliefs and what our attorney is, I mean, we have to line up with our.
I'm just saying that, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
that's what the-
well, I'm
yeah,
just
'cause
saying
they
it's in here,
advertise- 'cause
it might not
they
not
advertise
be
it.
able to be in.
Right, but I'm just saying, from my understanding, because
Yeah,
I was
so
nice
I'm
enough to
gonna-
go to code, so I'll be quiet, but I'm just saying that was they advertised
Yeah.
to put it in the paper so they can know Facebook.
Yeah, because
and
we had
all
that $1,000 we put on top of that to pay the winner of the window decoration contest.
The 1,000, the 750, the 500, and yes, all the
Yeah.
way, and those are the winners that we had.
We put that.
They selected.
But can you take over and read it?
Yes, so I'll need to look back at the resolution, but I believe that the way that this was structured was specifically to acquire, you know,
Christmas decorations.
decorations and things to attract business, or to improve the business district, which is related to the FEDC, you know, goals and what the law says. So things that are a little bit like kitty train and things like that, you know, the electrical plugs, things that are specifically associated with driving and improving the business district are what the goals were with this project that we did with the resolution. And so that's the way that law allows us to receive expenditure of those funds.
So then if there's anything remaining, they need to either buy additional Christmas stuff or return to whatever's remaining, is that what you're saying? I'm just trying to ask a question.
If it's decorations, I would.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it has to be associated
With
with
the-
improvements for the
Like,
business
we
district.
specifically made a motion for the, to the $30,000 to help the event, not like to, like the kitty tree stuff,
Right.
but like to pay for the tree and help the upgraded electrical. So if
Right.
there's a way they can use some of the other funds that they paid, but, I mean, that's what was my only question as
So
a treasurer.
that's the questionable part, is the parts that we're charging
Well, if
in.
not, it doesn't.
Advertising are
Yeah.
those items.
So, yeah, that,
The
the
change
30,000
in-
wasn't handed over just to have the event, 30,000 was, we did it with,
For
like she said,
decoration, okay.
marketing for downtown for that. It wasn't about, I don't know so much, I don't know where the ownership came in.
Okay.
It was just like, we wanna help with this event moving forward, how can we get some more stuff to market downtown?
Okay.
So, maybe if y'all wanna go back and look at those numbers, but that was my question that you
It's
guys.
infrastructure
Yeah.
improvements such as lighting and decoration, so, and other things here, electrical plugs, the
Tree topper.
resources
Yeah.
for the electricity, those kind of things, the way that we.
And the shed to store the tree? in?
Yes,
The,
Sorry?
the shed to store the tree?
Yes, that's part of the.
that's part of taking care of the tree.
project.
So I think the ones you gotta look at is the advertising, you know, if that was part of the paying the $1,000, but like the advertising, the kitty train and the administration fees
Okay,
aren't covered under, I think, our resolution.
okay, and then what the balance that we had remaining,
Yeah, and then you
that we
can,
hadn't spent yet on decorations.
yeah, you can
So we
use,
just roll this over into more decorations instead of just the balance that we had.
we can make a, I know it's not an action item,
You
but
don't see the kitty train as being part of the activity for the
That's not
thing?
part of
Yeah.
the initiatives under the FEDC.
Oh, I'm asking
You
something.
can, I mean, we can work it in, I mean, but
it's a stretch.
the advertising can work in there.
Yeah, we can probably work that
As
out.
part of the, you know,
Marketing the businesses to come downtown, things like
Okay,
that.
okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah, because that's who we marketed it to, was those businesses downtown for them to do the window decorations so that they could be eligible to enter the contest. So that's what that marketing was. It was not advertising anything
Yeah.
else
Oh,
on the
yeah.
event. It was so that they would know how and where and that we were doing the contest.
I was just wanting some clarification, so you're thinking more of the kitty train and administration fees.
And if I may interject, and you made a good point earlier when you said you have to report this and you have to go over tomorrow. We're an entity in which we govern under local government
Right.
rules. And we have to function under 501, 505, 506. And they have very specific guidelines in which they provide us to do the economic development, if you want to call it a donation. And it has to be catered specifically to that language.
Okay.
And when you have these other type, and see, my job basically is to oversee these things. And they're wanting me to look a little carefully into how these are functioning. And so that the public gets a perception that we're obviously being transparent. And second to that, that there's not an ambiguous cover that doesn't have any specific language that addresses how you're supposed to have the relationship, so that our relationship will continue
Right.
for years to come without any, and this is a little hiccup, consider it. And in no way whatsoever is this a personal situation, it's
No.
strictly in compliance because we have our auditor here, and we have certain specific guidelines in which we need to follow. And they have to have certain receipts
Right.
for certain things. And then when you have a deviation from the original intent, that's where you run into problems, because, for example, you have the president who paid herself with no authorization from the board.
Well, she didn't really
I'm-
pay herself. It was to the chamber. It remained in the chamber.
Right.
So,
But to explain,
yes.
it's,
How much was the balance left over?
if I may finish.
It shows, what, 4,700 something?
4,700.
Yeah.
So as long as you understand that,
Yes.
we're just trying to make sure we get everything correctly done.
Right.
So that no one runs into any issues.
And I'll let you know my background just a little bit. I do own the Liberty Tax Service here, so I am a
Sure.
bookkeeper and accounting type, not a CPA. But I have also been on city council for a local community that I was on. I
Then
have
you
worked
know.
with the soil and water
Yeah.
conservation, I was the district clerk, so I definitely know
Yeah.
boards. I was also the Housing Authority Executive Director in Jordanson
Good,
Yeah.
for several years, so I do know how boards work, and I do understand it.
Perfect.
So that's why I let
Hey,
Ashley know.
Do you need a
that I
copy of the
would be here.
resolution, just so you have it for your records, or you have that?
No.
So the balance is a little bit over $1,000,
4,000.
but minus the shed.
Will it be minus the administration fees and the key?
Minus the shed, correct,
And the administrative fees or not?
and the administrative fees.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
we
that's
can,
6,000 and change.
yes.
Good.
We're
The shed
agree-
can count, so.
Yeah, we're definitely agreeable, and we can spend that on more decorations instead of
Mhm.
into the,
Yeah, administration.
And so to be clear, I know there was, we were gonna show you who owned this. Do y'all want to be in possession? I brought the keys, or do you want us to continue to do this?
The intent of. go ahead.
It is in our possession.
Yeah.
It's on our, it's from.
I think you- I think you-
There's
property.
nothing, there wasn't any, we didn't, the resolution didn't address to transfer ownership.
I think it was just so we can continue to support the chamber as, like,
Yeah.
our boards come and go, your boards come and go, so it continues to stay as a city tree in case it goes. So I don't see why problem we can't both have keys. I mean, that's my.
Yeah.
correct.
But
We're all working together.
Yeah,
for the
we're all
same thing.
working
So there's, I mean,
Including the-
and then y'all come to us, what we'd like to do is the chamber to come to us and be like, hey, you know what, I think, like, we need more decorations, or hey, how can we drape lights from the trees? Or maybe put lights back on top of the building, I'm not gonna stick on that, and then so we can work together to make this, 'cause that's the whole thing, that's probably been the best event we've had Christmas in a long time.
We agree.
And actually, I think we should start talking about this year also,
Yeah.
so maybe at our next meeting, we can start talking about 2019.
And then if y'all see in the chamber, like, you know, we got the, I know they, I don't know if they're in here, but y'all bought the flags to the poles, like, as we, you
No,
know,
those
what's,
was, the banners belong to the city.
the city?
The city.
Okay, well then they make recommendations, I mean, there's always different things, like, you know, I've seen other cities on that banner, you put FEDC and some different things.
And this sets the template, basically. It's a good learning tool
Yeah.
for us to get over, and now we've got some pretty good directives of how we're gonna operate, and you can communicate with me, and I'll work with you and help you in any way whatsoever, and we clear out these little fuzzy spots that we need to work out.
Sounds
And I
good.
think it's very productive to do that.
So are y'all want these funds back, or
No.
you just want us to roll them into next year?
It's the
Spend it
direction
on
of the
the
board.
Okay.
Spend it on that stuff. I guess.
I don't, it's no action item, but I think that was agreed upon when we took the vote in the resolution. Is that,
Yeah. And can, like I said, because she's a bookkeeper and does tax and everything, she can get the documentation that'll fill in the fuzzy spots and, you know, the tree and the invoices, so that when
Absolutely.
the auditor's coming, he does come.
Yeah.
He would like to see that all went to that and
Correct.
the rest of the declarations.
Yeah, we don't want any money back, we want y'all to make the event better for you.
Okay,
There you go. Good deal.
sounds good.
but as soon as you're ready, come and talk to Johnny about 2019.
Yeah.
All right, we
Just
will.
come with some things that we can do better to, like, help the businesses and stuff next year.
I have ideas
Oh, I
already.
did.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the next item.
Thank you.
January 2018 financial report. Should that be
No, I
January
just walked by.
2019?
Yeah, if you can make that, Johnny,
Yes.
January 2019,
Okay.
on the finance report. So, we had a drop in, the collections in January, 4,307. I don't know if this is, you know, a lot of the time it stays pretty consistent, but I don't know, to me, it seemed like more restaurants were closed during the holiday season in January after the Christmas break than I've ever seen. So, I don't know what that's a attention, but I don't think that's gonna be the trend. I mean, we raised like almost 15,000 the month before, and then, it dropped, but everything else is pretty much the same. I think the financial report Johnny has later on, will go into more detail on some of the questions we have, but if there's any other questions, I mean, I know that we have to find, some stuff on this facade and signage grant, and we still have 22,500 for this year in that account. Out of the 30,000, and then, those other, numbers we'll put in there, so. And if we can work on getting with, as we work up the administrative stuff later on. I think they said this report is gonna be our report, that we can change, Johnny or whoever else changes that. And then this report right here is gonna be the city's report where they make this report. We won't be able to change, so.
Yeah, that.
You're referring to the sales tax, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sales tax number comes
Yeah.
from the comptroller, so that's what it is and how we
Mhm.
dispense it, so that's pretty much the report that they give the city council. Your top copy is what comes in, and I think there may be some numbers that are pending as we change administrators on your bank account and get access to it. We have to get the statements, but I think they have your main statement on there, and that we're working on that. I think that's later on in your agenda with Wells Fargo.
And there's some updated numbers we have to add on here once we get past some other stuff later on, so.
Okay, any questions? If not, let's move on to the next item. City of Florida project updates with our city manager and real attorney.
That's neat. Okay, we got